Y'all keep on eating. Enjoy your lunch. I just want to take a quick second to first off welcome everyone. Thank you for coming out today to the first official presentation of the Hunt County Economic Development Alliance. We're pleased to have you here. We're real excited about this alliance and this group. We got a few of us together several months ago and have been meeting over at the Commissioner's Court to come up with something that we think is going to be beneficial. As you all are aware, Hunt County is primed for growth. Actually, we're seeing growth now, but I think it's going to continue and it's going to get exponentially greater. And I'm really excited to see what Hunt County is going to look like 5 or 10 years from now. I think it's going to be completely different than what we are living today. And that's a good thing. But I think it's important that we all are part of that growth and that we all stay informed on what's going on. And so we thought it would be good to have this group where people can come hear presentations and learn about what's happening in our community. As a matter of fact, the mission statement is very simple. It's to communicate important issues related to economic development in Hunt County. And that's what we want to do. We want to be able to bring folks together and talk about what's happening in Hunt County, the growth that we're going to see, and how you can be a part of it. So first I want to just say a quick thank you to the steering committee. The members of that steering committee are Bobby Stovall, C.C. Gassner, D. Hilton, Denise Morgan, Greg Sims, Kevin Banks, Pam Anglin, Shelley Corrales, and our chair is Paul Kelly. So we appreciate all the hard work that they put in bringing this organization together and making this presentation happen. If you want more information about the Alliance, you can go, there is a website. I don't think there's a whole lot of content on the website just yet because it is so new, but you can go to Hunt County EDA and you can find out about future presentations. I believe we're going to try to do a quarterly presentation, and so we're excited about that. We're very fortunate today as our first speaker of the Alliance to have Bobby Stovall. Bobby's going to come speak to us about the November bond election for the Hunt County Jail. And again, this is an opportunity for us to hear and learn and get educated and make informed decisions. So thank you again for being here. Enjoy your lunch. And Bobby, we look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you. Okay, am I okay? Good.
And also, I want to, before you start, Bobby.
Yes, sir.
I want to give a quick thank you to the Greenville Board of Development for providing lunch. Thank y'all for
Thank you, Brent. And we also need to thank the Board of Development for lunch and for the Chamber of Commerce, Shelley and all her staff for helping arrange this and schedule it. And I know the board also participated in that, so thank them. And the alliance that we've been working on for the last, I guess, couple of months now is trying to replicate what used to be the Alliance for Economic Development for Hunt County that operated for, I don't know how many years, probably 10 years. I remember the first ones, I think we had 5 to 10 people at it. By the end, we were having 100, 150 people show up. So we're trying to recreate that, those real informative sessions, and I think that it'd be something really good for the community. And also, before I get started, you've got this brochure passed out. This is our report from our county road bond issue from 2016, and it's the most recent report. I can't thank D. Hilton enough for leading the steering committee. He does a tremendous amount of work since 2010, I believe. Is that right, D? Yeah, for a long time he's been chairing that, and that group does a wonderful job. And we've come a long way with that road plan, and you know it shows what you can do in Hunt County, and that we can manage big projects, and D has certainly been managing that project really well. So today I'm here to talk about the $75 million county bond election for the construction of the county law enforcement and detention center. And you can see the disclaimer up there. I have to tell you that I'm here as an individual. I'm not here as a county judge. As a county judge, I can't ask you to vote or not vote for anything, but I am an informed individual and I can give you a lot of good information so you can make up your minds on how you feel about this. So, why a new jail? We had asked that a lot in a lot of different ways. One of them is it because of overcrowding? Well, no, it's not. Our jail is sufficient enough to carry us for another 10 to 20 years. Matter of fact, to build a new jail, we have to ask the Texas Commission of Jail Standards to do a demographic study for us. And their projections till 2040, basically the same size jail we got right now. Unfortunately, our jail won't make it that long. So it's not because of overcrowding. We don't need to add on to it. So if it's not that, what is the real reason? So it's really the original construction. This is a place of the slab where we recently, this was from a little later ago, but you can see that's the rebar. It's underneath the concrete. It should be up here in the center of the concrete. It's like that all over that building. We are currently working on the new driver's license area that they're leasing back, same area they were in, just a larger space. They wanted a break room and restrooms, and when they cut the slab in that area, same situation. Rebar is laying on the ground. Had no inspections, absolutely had very low quality of construction. So, and then even before the jail was open, of course, Judge Money's sitting out there. He knows how bad it is in his part of the building. But you see these markers right here, those are steel members that are attached to the east wall and to the roof. Those were put in before they opened it. And you can flip through several slides. They go all the way down the east side of that building. You can see how close they are together. That was all done prior to opening the jail because it was already falling apart before they even started putting the prisoners in. And then, of course, you can see those are not as colorful, but that's where those are. So, what did the county do about the faulty construction? Well, from 2001, when it was first occupied, those that were responsible for building it, the then current Commissioner's Court, they did nothing until Judge Horn was elected and took office in 2007. And he won his election a lot on a platform of fixing the jail and making the public aware of how bad the jail was at that time. So shortly after he got into office, he started talking to the court about it, and they eventually hired a law firm to look into the possibility of hiring a law firm to investigate if there's any opportunities to recover some damaged money. So they did. They sued. They discovered they could sue the contractor, the architects, the engineers, pretty much everybody that was involved in it. And after a few years, they settled all the lawsuits for approximately $9 million, of which the county netted about 6.2 after the lawyers were paid and court reporters and expert witnesses and all that was taken care of. We ended up with about $6.2 million. So has the county spent that money? Well, they spent about half of it. Shortly after they got it, they did some much needed repairs, and they also engaged an engineering firm to look into the issues with the construction to see if there was a solution they could come up with to make the building more stable and to get it to last longer. And they had no luck doing that, and it hasn't been looked at again in several years because they really had no solution to be able to fix it. So what are some of the current conditions since the beginning of it? Well, you can see from this picture that beam, I-beam going across, sitting on a pipe pole, that's to support the ceiling. And I think we've got several of those scattered around the jail where we're having to put up additional support inside the building to keep it safe and sound for everybody inside of it. And then the foundation cracks, you can see those cracks in the tile. Well, the rest of the story is that tile's not supposed to be there. That was supposed to have been polished concrete by the original construction plans. But before the slab, before they even got on the slab, little sidebar, I did some layout for them when I had my survey company, and they wouldn't pay me. They paid my company to go out and do the initial staking, rough staking, so they kind of get all the dirt work where it's supposed to be, but they wouldn't pay me to go stake the building and set all the corners and get ready for the concrete pour. So they did that. Then they started trying to lay out all the cells, and by the jail standards, they have to be an exact square footage size in each one of them, and they were trying to lay them out and they couldn't get them laid out. Well, the building was not the right size, and I think it was 1.5 feet out of square. So you can't build square walls with an obtuse building. So I was on that slab personally when there was no walls on it. It was just a slab, and it was already cracked at that time. It was already had these hairline cracks in it. So they decided to put that tile in to cover up the cracks. Well, now you can see even the tile is pulling away. And here's a foundation where it's separating down here at the bottom. I don't know how well you can see that, but that's not attached to the floor. That's a gap between the wall and the floor. And this is a picture of the outside of the building. That area right there, they should line up, but either one's been pushed up or one's down, and you can see the crack coming down that wall panel. Here's another same thing, another wall panels. You can see how, again, one's been pushed up, one's pushed down, and you can see the separation where they've had to come back in, and the mortar's no longer there, so they've been putting goop in it, trying to keep moisture and insects and varmints out of the jail. And the next one's even worse, how bad it's pulling apart. And then this is a picture, that's a steel beam that had to be attached again to attach the ceiling to the outside wall, that they were having some separation up in here, and they were trying to shore it up. This is maybe my favorite one. Look at this retaining wall, how it's crumbled. At least it's got a few pieces of rebar in it, not much, but a little bit. And we had another retaining wall not far from this one that had I think it was a 10, 12 foot tall by 22 foot concrete wall sitting on top of it. And I believe it cost us $22,000 to get it taken down and away before it fell off of the retaining wall on somebody or something. So we have had to spend that money. And then you can see this settlement damage where it's separated from this is a porch area, and you can see that corner there of the building and how it's broken away. Well, that's just been so much movement, it's just kind of tearing itself apart. And then you can see this, the foundation movement. This is, I believe this is in one of the holding cells on the east side, and you can see the gap in it. I believe there's two cells still not usable, Chief, Lieutenant? Yeah, there's two still we can't use because we can't get the doors to close. Or if we get them closed, we can't get them back open because they're jammed in there. And the worst part is the building shifts and those doors move. They got sensors on them, so in the control room, they can tell if they're secured doors, if they're open or locked or whatever. And that movement all the time, maintenance is having to always adjust those sensors to make sure that they're getting a true read in the control room of whether we got a controlled room. And then the next one, you can see this movement of the floor there with that gap under the floor, how it's all lopsided. And then the ceiling cracks here, it looks like this has obviously been repaired several times. And then this one's another good one. Of course, we got a trustee there. Since Sheriff Jones has been there, he's been using a lot of trustees, to keep putting lipstick on a pig, because if we don't keep these things fixed, the jail standards could shut us down. So what's interesting about that is that crack was so severe right there, they stuck a blanket in there so that they'd have something to fill up to, because they couldn't get it filled up. And thought that was pretty ingenious. I'm not sure if an inmate did that or one of our officers did that. But then here, this one's a little hard to see, but you got some separation up here, separation in the corner, and then there's a crack running right down through there. And the same thing, you got another crack coming down right through there. It's obviously, you can't tell it that picture that well, but it's been fixed more than once, looks like. It's got build up around it where it's been repaired. And then this one is a corner, I think it's in a storeroom, and you can see how it's pulled apart in a corner and how this massive crack is right there. Then you got a wall crack, and this one shows it better. I think you maybe can see how it's been patched before and been pulled and then separated. And then you got another crack. These pictures were taken from all over the jail. I mean, they're not from one room or one part of the jail. They're from all over the jail. Then you got a bad wall crack here. That's where two walls joined, and they're just, you could probably stick an arm in that one when it was first done. So what else is happening that we can't show you? The foundation's still moving. Well, we have sewage stoppages every day, not just some of the time, it's every day. I think our detention officers can relay that. A lot of times when they're cleaning out, they're pulling dirt back out. So that means the pipes have either pulled apart or they're crushed under the building. And so it's a problem that's going to have to be fixed pretty quickly, or we're going to have total failure of that. And then we have water leaks daily. Not a leak, but leaks daily. Part of it's probably because of the foundation movement. Part of it's, it's pretty cheap plumbing was used, fixtures and the type of piping they had. I think it took us a pretty good while to even find replacements for it because it's not a normal brand. So what happens if the bond issue fails? That's probably the biggest question everybody needs to be aware of and understand. Because, as I said a minute ago, sheriff's trying to put, lipstick on a pig because we're subject to a state jail inspection at any time. And they can walk in, and if we don't have our standards, they can shut us down. And the head of the jail standards told me 2 years ago that I had to get the intake area fixed. And we've tried different methods to try to move it to another building. We were going to take it to the old jail, the juvenile building now, but it was going to be $3 million plus just to make that happen. And plus, then we were going to have to be transferring back and forth and add extra people. It was not going to be feasible to do in the court's mind. But if they shut us down, we'll have no choice but to start sending prisoners to other jails. And we average about 300 inmates a day now. There's nobody can take all 300 of them unless we ship them to far west Texas. I've been at many conferences where they've said that for whatever reason, some counties built some oversized jails thinking they were going to make a lot of money off of it and by holding other prisoners or something. And that never worked out good for them. So I think there's some availability, but it's a long way to haul prisoners out there and then back. But probably we try to stay close to home, but they're going to be in many different jails. It'll be a nightmare trying to keep up with them. Plus, you got to transport them all the time. If they're in somebody else's jail and a judge wants to see them in the courtroom, we got to go get them and bring them back. And some of them are pretty violent. I think we've got 13 charged with murder right now in the jail. We got some people we don't want out that without a lot of security around them. So the transportation demands will be horrible. But the cost of it, the average cost today, the latest numbers are about $60 a day. I've seen them as high as averaging about 70. $60 times 300, that's $18,000 in Aggie math. You can round it up to say 20, and that's 7 days a week. That's 140 a week, and 4 weeks in a month. That's 640. I mean, it gets up there pretty quick to the tune of about $7.5 million. And then we got all the transportation costs, probably extra personnel. It'd push $10 million if we had to do that. That's way above the jail budget right now. So it's going to be an extremely expensive issue if we can't get out of that building and the jail standards has to shut us down. So, as a taxpayers and individual, you know, we all worry about how's it going to affect my taxes. Well, our financial advisors show it at approximately 3 cents. I kind of rounded it because he gave us numbers for a 20-year bond, 25-year bond, and 30, and it'll be up to a future court to decide which one of those use. I kind of picked the middle one, and it's going to be about 3 cents. And so if you got a $200,000 house or property, that's about $60 a year increase. But, you know, these are projections, and there's a lot more to it than just saying, okay, we passed the bond and it's automatically going to be, when we issue the bonds, it's going to be 3 cents. Because if you look at this slide, in 2016, when these bonds program was issued, they estimated the value at nearly $5 billion, or it was $5 billion in 2017, and they looked at a 5% increase every year and then a 3%. But if you look at the actual over there, look how far, it's more like 11% growth. In 2022, our tax base was $8.5 billion, not 6.4. So what does that mean? Well, it means that in the 2016 transportation bond, they said it was going to be 0.036 cents per hundred for the INS. INS is interest and sinking fund. That's the interest and then the principal reduction of the notes. So they're saying at 0.036. This year's budget was 0.014 because of the growth. And then if you go and you look, if you remember, in 2022, they estimate 8 billion, but we already have 22 numbers. It's 8.5 billion. They're showing a 6% and a 5% increase, and 4 and 3, so they go down pretty quick. You know, it could happen. I don't think so. I think these numbers are going to continue to grow more at the 10% range, probably for the foreseeable future. You know, we've all been through the experience of 07 to 10 where things started dropping, but Mr. South probably can explain it better than I can. The numbers go up a lot faster than they come back down. When you're trying to do a market price appraisal, when things are hot and market's selling, you got a lot of comps. When the music stops and the party's over, there's no sales and there's no comparables. So it's hard to start dropping values because you have nothing to compare to. So it takes that ad valorem taxes a while to start adjusting to the market. So it'll take a little while for to adjust it, but we're already at beyond 23's estimate. So all that being said, I don't think it's going to be 3 cents. I don't think it's going to be a huge hit at all to our tax rate because I think our growth will continue to trend. We had a $1 billion tax growth this past year. $1 billion. It's amazing to me. And it was $900 million the year before. So we're on a pretty fast track. So, with all that, like I said, I don't think we're looking at a 3-cent tax rate, but, you know, I was telling some of them earlier, I'm not going to be Joe Biden. You know, he says 3.5 trillion is free. Well, this is not going to be free. I mean, it'll affect us. It affects our taxes. There's no question about it. It may not hit our INS as bad, but, you know, if we weren't having to pay for that, we could save money for somewhere else. So I'm a realist. It does cost money. It is going to be a cost to us. It's just not going to hit our INS, I don't think. I think with the cost savings that we'll see, plus the growth, I think it's going to be very manageable for us. So has the new jail facility been designed? No, it hasn't. The court engaged Grace Hebert Curtis Architects, 6 months ago, maybe a year ago, and we contracted with them for $75,000 to work with us to come up with a concept of something we could build and get us good numbers for what that was going to cost, or best numbers they could get. So some of the plans, we're going to show you some plans. They're all concept plans. They're from a building that they've already designed and built. So that was the front of the building. We're going to make a nice building out of it. I don't anticipate in our court building anything real fancy, but it'll be a nice facility. And then the conceptual layout, this is going to be the jail portion, the long building. In it, there will be, on this end, I think it's going to be all the visitation, and this is the staff. And then the rest of it is going to be Zoom rooms, kitchens, medical areas, laundry, all the things it takes to operate a detention center will all be in this area. In the back of it, along this back wall, it'll be a long secured hallway. And then these are all, they call them pods. So that's a building, and that's half a building. So if we were to build this, if we were to accept this plan, all we'd have to do is build half of a building. So if we miss our target, we grow, we need more space, we can cheaply just continue and build that building out. And then we could build another pod behind it. And then we could extend this on out and start building pods again. Or we could tee off of it and come back this way and build pods out behind it that way. So we're planning it. Whatever we do, the plan will be to be easily expandable so that we don't have to come well, it won't be me, but anybody in the future won't have to come back to the taxpayers and say we need another $75 million and go build another one. We'll be able to, they may have to come get some money, but it'll be to add on our current facility, which won't be near as bad. And this is a conceptual floor plan. In our current jail, it's a bunch of boxes stuck. It's like a dungeon. There's hallways, and then you got all these cells that all they have is a small window in it and a door with a little window in it. And the prisoners stay in there all the time, except when they're called out to go to court or to a Zoom meeting or a visitation, or, well, I think they get 3 days a week. They get some time out into the outside areas so that they're handcuffed and moved to there. Some of them are probably shackled and moved to there. It takes a lot of manpower to do it. Well, this concept, this bottom portion, this bottom coordinate and that one over there are about the same, and maybe even that one. These are for low-risk, non-violent type prisoners. And you see there's a door there, and that's a courtyard. So they'll have free access to roam during the day and night to come and go. They probably can't go outside. They'll probably be secured at night where they can't go out. But they're not stuck in a room where they can't see out, because that's all, we'll show some pictures in a minute, but there's all glass. Right, well, it's not, let me show you that. There's glass across there. Now in the top part up here, that's going to be the more violent inmates. They'll have individual cells. They'll have cells. Some will be individual. Some will be multiple people in them. So if you go to the next slide, this is kind of a picture of the the non-violent inmate area, and you can see all these beds that are in there, and there's tables to sit around. And there's the glass area and the door, so it'll be more open. It'll be a lot easier for the detention officers to manage, and it makes the prisoners a lot more easy to control. They're not stuck in a cell with 3 people or 6 people they don't like. They can kind of have some ability to move around and all. But one of the greatest assets is with this design, we'll have what they call indirect supervision. Currently, we have direct supervision. With direct supervision, we have to have 1 detention officer to every 48 inmates. Indirect, we can have 1 detention officer to every 68 inmates. So it'll make a lot of difference in our staffing, and that's in today's world, that's really important. We're keeping 10 to 13 vacancies, I believe, all the time in our detention officers. So the ones we have are working a lot of overtime. We've got some great employees over there. They do a wonderful job. Their environment's not very nice, and they do their job anyway. These environments, I think, will make it a lot better, a lot easier for us to retain and hire people. And this is more of a concept of the secured area for the more high-risk inmates. Again, they'll be in their jail cells, but instead of having to be moved out, they'll still have the same access to a courtyard. I'm certain they won't probably let them all out at the same time, but they can let out 2 or 3 at a time, and they can have the ability to roam and go outside, and they're not having to be handcuffed and shackled or something and moved to a different area 3 times a week. This make it a whole lot easier on both the staff and the inmate. And the other question we get a lot is, where are we going to build this detention center? Well, we don't know yet. Till we actually get the design work done, that will dictate a lot. The concept we have right now is on 21 acres. So it won't be downtown where it is. To build it to where we can add on, and of course it's got the sheriff's office attached. I don't think I pointed it out. But we have met with the city. We picked areas of town, Industrial Park, 15 Traders in Roy Warren area out by the airport, and 34 and out east of town, 34 in John Horn, and then out at east of town. And all of those areas have water and sewer and streets, so that we know we got land that we can buy. It may not be on the market now, but we'll be able to find land that we won't have to add a lot of extra money to it. And then, I don't think I pointed out, but there was a white building on that conceptual plan. It was a courts building, and we're planning for a courts building to be attached to the jail. With our growth in the county right now, we probably have 5 years, maybe 10, before we're going to have to start adding courts. And there's no room in the courthouse to do that. And now that it's a historical courthouse, 3 of our courtrooms aren't even legal to be in there with the historical designation. They were done prior to the designation, so they get to stay. But when we renovate the courthouse, those courtrooms will no longer exist. There's only one. 196 is the only historical old courtroom in the courthouse, as far as I know, by the original plan. So the current judges, they want to be attached to the jail. They don't want to be transporting inmates back and forth from the jail to the courthouse anymore. Neither does anybody else. It's a high-risk situation. It's a lot of responsibility and a lot of effort on our sheriff's department to transport them and then take care of them for however long they're there, and then get them back into the jail. So it's really become the common thing with most counties. I mean, Collin counties, I think their jail's underneath their courtroom, and they got elevators that go up into the courtrooms. I know that Hopkins County's recently built a new jail, and their courts building is, I don't know if it's attached to it or just in the same area as it. I'm not sure. I'm not been over there to look at it. But that's kind of the new way of building jails, is to accommodate that. So it's something we've got to face. You know, if we don't build the jail now, we're probably still going to have to build a courts building somewhere. We won't have any choice, because we don't have another place for a courtroom. So, and with that, I tried to leave plenty of room for questions. I know I didn't answer them all. Any questions? We got some detention officers over there. You got a question for any of them? Chad, Lieutenant Stroud, he'd be happy to answer any questions. He works yes, sir. You don't get them.
I don't need a microphone. What plans are going to be made to make sure that we don't get into the same situation?
Well, I'm not going to be the general contractor, which is what happened last time. Our county judge last time was the general contractor. That ain't going to happen. It will be, of course, it'll be designed. It'll be to all the standards. We're going to follow the advice of experts, which they didn't do. I mean, that's the biggest problem with the current jail. The geotechnical people said that they should go out there and excavate down so far, and they're supposed to take lime and water and inject the soil down 8 or 10 feet or whatever it was, bring back in, I don't remember, it's 3 or 5 foot of select fill, and then build the building. Well, they didn't inject the soil with lime and water. They didn't bring in select fill. It's literally sitting on native ground. And you saw the pictures with the steel laying on the ground, not in the concrete. It's just a bad deal all the way around. But we'll bid it. I mean, as long as I'm there and I have a say-so in it, we'll bid it to professional construction company that can be bonded and make sure we're going to have it inspected by the architects, and it'll be in the city limits. And unlike last time when they wouldn't let the city of Greenville own the property to inspect it, the city of Greenville will be out there inspecting it. We'll be inspecting it. And Chris Kilmer sitting back in the back, he's been in the construction business around here 40 years. He's our facilities manager. I don't know of anybody that knows more about construction than Chris does, and I can promise you he'll be inspecting it every day. Whether he knows it now or not, he will be out there and inspecting it all the time to make sure this thing gets built right. It really is a great opportunity with Chris on staff right now to build this thing, because there's nobody any better in Greenville that I know of in construction than Chris. So it's a great timing. Yes, sir. Well, at some point, and initially, I can't answer it. Initially, what we hope we can do. Of course, the JPs will stay in the driver's license. They're up on the undisturbed soil where they didn't cut it down 10 feet or whatever. They don't have as much. They got movement. Judge Money will tell you things move around in there, but it's more stable. And when the sheriff's moves out, there's quite a bit of office space. I think we'll be able to move some offices in there for some period of time, probably until we move the courts building out. And when we do that, then the JPs will probably go with the other courts out to that courts building. And at that point in time, somebody will have to make a decision, what to do. We may have to tear down a portion of the jail just to keep, the stability of the rest of the building. That'll be up to some engineers to decide. But we hope to be able to use the sheriff's office space as offices. We don't have the problems in there because we don't have water and sewer everywhere. And we don't have inmates that we have to lock up and control. We've just got offices. So we're hoping the sheriff's office is working out of it right now. We're hoping that we can utilize part of it that's currently an office as office for other departments. Yes, sir?
Yeah, Bobby, I just want to reiterate your growth, what you talk out there, because, we look at studies, John and I are talking to companies all the time.
Rich, would you hand me my water?
In fact, we have one that hopefully,
Thank you.
at the end of the year, is going to be a very significant, in the hundreds of millions, project that we can close on. I want to say thank you to the school district, parents right here, Bruce, who wants to bring the school we can do this project, but more on that later. What I do want to tell you though is that the studies we've seen currently today, these are facts, that between the city limits, the western city limits of Greenville to the Hunt County line, there's approximately 18,000 new homes already permitted to do construction. 18,000. Now think about that. That's north and south of Interstate 30. That's almost 2.3 people per house. You're looking at over maybe 40,000 people are going to pop in that area within the next 3, 4, 5 years. And then if you average $200,000 per value of each house, it's $3.6 billion with a B in value, new value coming on the county tax roll. So, when you look at it from a growth standpoint, I agree with the judge, that, effectively each commissioner's court has to weigh all the revenue that's available to them to put back into, to invest into the county infrastructure and in law enforcement, and I think we're going to be okay, in my opinion. So, thanks, Bob.
Thank you, Greg. Well, there's not only there's projects that he's aware of. Before I came out here, I met with a group that's bought what is known as Bishop Field in the southwest part of the county. It's a FFA certified airport. It was owned by an individual, had some hangars on it. It's around 500 acres. Developers bought that. They bought an additional 200 acres next to it. They've got huge plans for that area. They also are working on a project here in Greenville. He said he's in hospitality. I'm not sure who he is or what he's doing in Greenville, but we have meetings every week with developers coming in to have pre-development meetings to talk to us about what we'll require them to do, what they can do. It's amazing how much interest is in Hunt County right now, and thank goodness that Judge Horn had the vision and Dee had the patience and time to work on this transportation plan, because if you go to Rockwall right now and look at what they're having to do right now when they're nearly built out, it's a nightmare over there. and we're gonna get ours built out long before we reach that point. I think we'll have, Dee can correct me, but they're gonna let the bridges at 1570, 1903, and Lonnie Stratton next year, late next year, I think.
Construction starts November 2022.
2022. 6 lanes there. We've engaged Freeze and Nichols to go ahead and finish all the engineering for 1570, 1903, 36 over to Highway 6 to get them shovel ready. What that does for us, what we hope it does for us, is there's several multi-billion-dollar projects with TxDOT on I-45 and 35 that we're told is way behind schedule in getting designed. I think the one on 45, they're under a big lawsuit, I believe, on that one. It's got it slowed up. So the projections, they're telling us there's going to be a lot of availability of money. So if we can get our project shovel ready, they're going to want to go somewhere that money. So we think we'll get the ones funded that we don't have currently funded, and those that we have funded out in years out will be able to be moved back into more current time. We may get all ours built and funded in the next few years, and that's what we're hoping for. The county has sold more bonds to pay for that engineering, and we're going to get it ready, and hopefully all that'll happen. Any more questions on the jail?
I point out that you all have only issued half of the bonds that were approved in 2016, so that's being managed by the Commissioner's Court and by Dr. Brett very effectively to hold down on the tax rate. And the last time bonds were sold, the rate was 1.47%.
Yep, and it's, you know, we may not issue any more bonds. If we continue the way it's going, we may not have to issue anymore because the state has taken over some of our projects that we anticipated doing. They paid for them already. Some of them have already been done, but they've committed to fund some of them that we had intended to fund with that money, so we may not have to issue any more of those bonds. So, you know, that's a really good program. It's worked really good, and we think we can take that momentum into this project, and I think we can manage it well and get something that we're really proud of, and something that'll last longer than 19 and a half years or whatever it's been. It's terrible. I mean, I say it all the time. I really, it upsets me to have to stand up here and ask the taxpayers that we need to vote for this, because we shouldn't have to be doing this. If it had been done right to start with, we wouldn't be doing it.
Probably once the bond issue is approved, will Jail Standards Commission then give you a free rein to continue to use the jail until such time as the new one is actually built and be occupied?
They will be more lenient, I'm told. I mean, I was told a few years ago, 2 years ago, I guess it was September of 19, that we had 10 years to be in a new jail. Whether or not that turns out to be true or not, I don't know. But I can tell you that when I called Brandon Wood, who's head of the Jail Standards Commission, I told him we were fixing to vote to put a new jail on the bond election. He was more than thrilled. He was very excited to know that we're finally going to fix this problem, because he was actually the inspector when that jail was open, and now he's head of the department. And he has a lot of knowledge about this building and knows the problems. And I think they'll work with us any way you can to get us through if we can get this passed, and then we'll move as fast as we can to get it built in the best way that it can be built. And fortunately, the head of the Jail Standards Board happens to be a good friend of mine, so hopefully we can beg some favors if we have to from the board to buy us a little time. And with the inmates continuing to work on it like they are, and we have the funds available to keep spending money on it to make it, to make it last. So I don't think there's any question we can make it last. I hope so. Yes, sir.
Once the bond is elected, is passed, what is the estimated time of completion of the jail?
It's probably going to be about 18 months, would be my guess. We'll have to go out to the architects we're working with now, and in our contract with them, we said that in no way did this free them up to know they're going to get to design it. We'll have to go out for RFQs. We'll interview other architect firms. That takes a little bit of time. Then once we select that and get going, it's going to take a while to design this kind of facility. The architect we're currently using told us to expect about a year, to get it designed and probably approved. So we're looking probably 15, 18 months, I'd guess, to hopefully have a contractor working. And then it's probably a year and a half to build it. So move-in dates going to be at least 3 years out. And we've got 8 years if he holds us to it to get one built. So we're cutting it a little thin as it is. But, I hope I've given you enough information to, to vote the way you see to vote. And I know I'll be voting for it. We know we all need to vote for it. It's a real problem. We owe it to these guys over here. They work in a terrible situation. And they do a great job. They fight issues all the time that they shouldn't have to fight, and I hope we can get it passed. If everybody will go vote.
Early voting starts the
18th. Yeah, Monday week, I believe it is. All right, thank y'all.
Bobby, thank you so much. It's great information. I've got 2 takeaways. Number one, I want to say thank you to you and Greg both for pointing out all this exponential growth. 18,000 new homes coming our way. Y'all are making a really good case for the appraisal district needing a new building in the near future. Keep that in mind. And also, one of your slides showed that they were projecting. Yeah, we'll take the back half of the jail.
You get the old jail.
And then your slide said that they were projecting a 6% increase on the tax base for 2022. I wouldn't hold your breath. I would say that they're off by 50%. I won't tell you which way they're off, but they're off by half. So,
well, actually, I probably should explain that because it gets complicated because we do have 22 budgeting number. Those numbers are for budgeting because we're already working. We're in our 22 budget, but because taxes are assessed January 1st. You're paid in arrears by February of 22. The bills for 21 hadn't even gone out yet. So the money coming in to us now is 22 money. So it's a little hard to understand because our fiscal year is not up with the calendar year because we're September 30th, October 1st fiscal year. So we're already in our 22 budget. And so that 8.5 billion is the values that you just assessed or told us about.
If I had the number I quoted, that's about 20,000 more new pets.
well, Bobby, again, thank you so much.
Thank y'all.
To me, looking at the pictures of the current jail facility, most people probably aren't aware of the situation. And I wish more people would try to get educated on an important topic like this. People probably just think, well, that jail's not that old, why are we spending $75 million? Well, come look at it. Come to one of these presentations, find out about it. So we appreciate you doing this.
Ask one of those guys.
Absolutely, absolutely. So,
Will there be a link to today's presentation? GEUS YouTube. Okay, if you live out of the county, get on GEUS YouTube. Okay.
yeah, on GEUS YouTube, you can get a link to the presentation. Share it out to your friends and family. Let them watch it and get all this good information. So, again, thank y'all. Thank you, Bobby. Thank y'all for showing up.
leave the trash free if we'll get it.
And if y'all want to leave, if y'all want to get on, I don't know if we're going to have an email list. I don't know if we're going to have an email list for future presentations. Y'all want to